We are back. It is July 12th, 2026, Sunday, 10 p.m. Eastern Standard. Long overdue for a market update. Life sometimes gets in the way of making these videos, but I have still been very active, paying attention to the markets every week, actively trading where I can. I haven't found as many consistent trades that I like, trades that make sense. But we've been trading. We've actually had some decent trades that we can highlight from the past. And yeah, let's talk about the markets first, then we'll get into some of the trade concepts, what we're following, what we're seeing, what's been successful, and yeah, just overall market breadth. So let's talk through current setups. We are looking at US dollar short being pretty close to a setup, and we're looking at a little bit of a sell off and possible consolidation in the dollar. I would like to see the dollar start to rotate, or people rotate out of dollar and other currencies gaining strength, such as Canada and the British pound, which I have both set up. I'm in the British pound right now. It's a long trade, and I'm also eyeing the Canadian dollar. That, in my opinion, is the same trade. So I'm only in the British pound, which has come off since I got in around 1.325, I want to say. So we're in a little bit of healthy profit, but it has pulled back and hit some resistance. So we shall see. Also eyeing the Australian dollar, again, similar trade there, although I've got this marked as a short. Let's just check on the side here. That's actually a long, so we're just going to flip this arrow to the upside. So again, very similar trades here across US dollar versus Aussie dollar, British pound, and Canadian dollar. If US dollar sells off, we should see strength in those other currencies and a rotation. I've got lean hogs set up as a long as well from the Commitment of Traders data. If you're not familiar with that, the Commitment of Traders talks through positioning between commercial small specs and large specs. We want to be on the side of the commercials and typically against the large and small specs. For lean hogs, I actually have found there's more success in the back tests if commercials and small specs are on the same side, and then you're fading the large specs. And so this one is still set up as a long. The price action's been pretty poor, I would say. Just every gap on these new contract rolls, just kind of selling off, right? It gaps on the contract roll, it sells off. Yeah, not really much to highlight here. I mean, it looks like we were in a down phase, and now we're sort of making somewhat upward progress, but just not a whole lot to do here. We see a lot of false starts with lean hogs, so I'm not really looking to enter that right yet unless I see a very clear news failure or something. Again, we're in the British pound, we're eyeing Canada, and then coffee we have set up as a short, but it's such a small look back, and there's been just such a monster like move and ATR here, almost a 30-point ATR. It's going to be really hard to get into a position here. We'd have such a wide stop that it would almost be impossible for me to size it correctly, so just not something I'm really looking at. But yeah, I want to talk through some successful trades that we've had so far this year. I can try to pull up a quick chart on the side here, and we'll talk a little bit through silver. I was fortunate enough to catch the silver trade here on the recent sell back in March, somewhere through March into April. We had caught the buy where we ran up to about $90 a share, and then we started selling back off. I had moved my stop, took some profits. I think that was part of a momentum system, but we also had it set up on the Commitment of Traders data going long, so we captured a little bit of profit there. But the big trade so far this year was actually the cotton short. And so I've been following cotton for a really long time on the momentum strategy where it has just failed year over year in recent years to get any sort of momentum. I mean, look at from this high back in 2024, we've just been down and sideways the entire time, sideways to down until we had this breakout back in around February of 2026. So pull this back into the 1 year chart. And we had this breakout And this thing rode and rode and rode. And of course, I wasn't in it from a momentum standpoint. I actually removed cotton from my momentum system, just given the chop for the past several years, just not making any sense to be in on the momentum side. But congrats to anybody that caught this breakout. My momentum system triggered here, and we would have had a nice run up from about, call it $69 up to about 81, which would have been a really healthy profit. But what we did catch is we caught the short. The commitment of traders got overcrowded right around here. I think we sold right around 88, I want to say, and ran that all the way back down. And I got out somewhere around 73 when it started to make some upward movement, which actually turned out to be really well because cotton has just been going back up. So we had a really healthy profit in the cotton trade. Really happy with that one. A lot of success there. That's the biggest trade I've had in quite some time. And so what are we seeing in the markets? I've got a lot of this drafted in the report for this week that will go in the Discord, but what we're seeing in the markets really is this just lack of breadth, right? We're seeing just these monstrous moves on these chip stocks, these data center stocks, companies like Micron, SanDisk, Seagate. We're just seeing these monster moves, and Intel especially. The government took a stake in Intel at some point, back around $50, I think, per share, and it's just been going up ever since and now consolidating. I've actually got Intel on a short right now. I buy one long call option that's dated a few months out, and then that's my insurance, and then I short the shares. That protects me from any sort of gap ups in the overnight, having the insurance play on the option trade. And so I would like to see this come back down to earth, really, maybe even a gap fill at 70 if it could go that far, or ideally all the way back down to 50 to 60 a share. I don't know if that's going to happen. It seems like we're still running, overdone on these data center AI trades, but we shall see. I mean, they're down right now in the night session here on Sunday. Intel's down a bit. Hard to tell. It's probably another trade. I'm a little bit too early, but they have had a pretty solid correction in the past couple of weeks, so we'll see on that front. As far as what I'm looking at here, so I'll talk you through a little bit of sort of the time forecasting, what we should really expect through the end of the summer. So it looks like crude and energy on a cyclical basis should be up through the summer. Right now, those are selling off with the war news, or the war peace treaty talks with Iran, which seem to change every 5 minutes that we look. I don't think the market really cares about that as much anymore, if I'm being perfectly honest. If I can just remove this strategy and just show you guys on the side here. Crude oil down pretty significantly and now starting to head back up. It seems like that's going to be the move for energies. Precious metals, it looks like everything should peak in July to August, which again, we're still on a pretty massive correction across the precious metals, gold and silver specifically. Livestock, let's see, lean hogs, high in July to August, low September, October. Again, not a whole lot to do there. I'm seeing a possible high all the way through August in British pound. US dollar might peak around then. Euro is a low in August, which could be a buy, and up through October. Coffee, the only one set up that I'm watching, looks like it could make a low in September to October. Grains could have a buy point, but we'll keep watching the commitment of trader data. And then the NASDAQ should be up through end of year. S&P at least through the end of Q3. Looks pretty healthy to me. Commitment of trader data we talked through. I have nothing on my momentum trading strategy that's signaling right now. I've got a number of accumulation plays. I think the main ones worth calling out are the potential breadth improvement and rotation to China stocks like Alibaba. I'm in on a trade on that right now. It's been having a really nice move since bottoming out closer to $90 a share. We're actually at 116 in the overnight. I'm in a small position here. That was a huge trade for me back in 2025. Had a lot of good options trades on Alibaba. Right now we're in a small position here, which I may look to add if we just keep heading higher. Looking like a nice rotation here. So looks like a bottom was put in around 90 and now we're at 116. And then Monday.com is another one that could be putting in a bottom. This is more of a SaaS rotation trade. I think a lot of SaaS has been oversold with this whole AI. AI being able to remove a bunch of SaaS companies. I just don't see that being very logical. MongoDB also having some healthy recovery. Let's see what else I am looking at. Affirm, possible breakout, right? We have sort of this consolidation sell-off, lower low, and then a higher low put in. So we made, we're not back to highs here, but we broke the previous low, or sorry, the previous high. So we are making progress here. This is starting to look a lot more bullish. If we could break above this $85 and hold it, I would probably take a trade here on a consolidation breakout. And then we talked about Intel being a parabolic reversal. It's had such a parabolic move here and then consolidation. And now I'm looking to catch this thing on the way down. Again, I have an option going long as insurance in case this thing does rip and gap higher, and then I can get out of my short shares. But ideally, I want to make money on the short shares going down, potentially back to this anchored VWAP. Anchored VWAP, let's see what that actually is, which part of the channel that is. I think that's the top of the channel. That's our moving average. That's a moving average. And then the anchored VWAP. Yeah, it looks like I don't have the deviation ranges on here, but I can probably add these pretty quickly. Not that that's very useful, but yeah, we're just way above VWAP. Volume weighted average profile. I would like to see this stock head back down to 70, if not lower, in order for me to get out of Intel, but I am watching that very closely. I've put my thoughts in the report. Again, it'll be in Discord. I've got the stocks we're watching this week. It's really heavy finance banking week. We've got Bank of America, JP Morgan, Citi, BlackRock. Got a little bit of airlines, United Airlines, UNH Healthcare, Taiwan Semi will be interesting. These are the ones that I'm watching this week and that I find interesting. We've got CPI, PPI, jobless claims, and then UK has GDP month over month at 2 a.m. Eastern. So these are what we're watching. Appreciate you guys listening. I will be back next week and every week after to continue doing these reports. So appreciate you listening. We'll talk soon. Thanks.